jury found the defendant, Gerald Goines, guilty of felony murder as charged.
Former HPD narcotics officer Gerald Goines found guilty for the murder of 2 people in the 2019 botched Harding Street raid.
And why is that? This is a capital eligible case, and I believe that the cost of defending ethical defense of a capital eligible case will exceed his means.
Mayor Eric Adams has been indicted by a federal grand jury, making him the first mayor in New York City history to face an indictment.
It's the jurisdiction of the Colorado State Patrol.
Despite her many years of driving experience, Arlene Branham is pretty new to the car wash. Her late husband used to handle that errand.
He took care of the cars, that's what he did.
But after he died last year, Arlene knew it was time to learn.
I was looking at all the signs, but obviously I missed the one that was really important.
Missed the sign to put her car in neutral as Arlene rolled into the cobblestone car wash in Arvada this summer.
When you've not done anything like that, you're just kind of apprehensive. Then all of a sudden, just a short distance in, the car stopped. Well, yeah, it stopped because I hit the guy in front of me.
That guy in front of her?
Yeah, I'm at the car wash. Got rear-ended inside the car wash. I'll let you know if there's damage.
A state trooper.
So you were involved in a crash with a state trooper today?
Nobody questions it was an accident.
Did you just leave it and drive?
Yeah.
But worth a ticket?
Yes, I am going to issue you a ticket. This charge is for careless driving. It is a valid charge for private property, okay?
Nobody was hurt. I mean, we weren't even probably going a half a mile an hour. And so I just thought it was just wrong. I didn't know where else to call to find out if it was legal for them to do that or not.
No, that's a good question. It's a good question.
The Steve on Your Side team took that question to Sergeant Patrick Rice with Colorado State Patrol. Can CSP issue a ticket for something like this?
Just because you're on private property doesn't mean you're without responsibility for controlling your vehicle and making sure that you're not damaging other people's property or hurting other people.
Turns out, in a few instances, CSP can issue tickets when violations occur on private property, like DUI, reckless driving, careless driving, and unsafe backing. In Arlene's case, investigating troopers had to talk it through.
I mean, if you're going to issue a ticket, I would do careless because it applies on private property.
I looked it up because tell me what you think. Because
if you don't want to issue a ticket, I'm okay with that too. I mean, it's your call. 100% your call.
So was a ticket really necessary?
I just felt like he just really didn't have to give me a ticket.
It looked like they did find very minor damage on the bumper of both vehicles.
Is there any damage to your vehicle?
No, you can come and see.
Is there damage?
What I'm thinking is the seam here and the seam here, it's wider.
There's always discretion, no matter what. The officer always has discretion, but the standard policy or procedure for the State Patrol and for troopers is if it's a crash and we can prove that there was a law violation, then we're going to write that ticket.
Arlene can't believe it.
I just didn't see that it was $169 worth and 2 points.
That her first trip to the car wash could go so wrong.
Going against the advice of the city's head attorney, the Police Accountability Board publicly released its findings from all of its investigations into alleged officer misconduct. Yesterday, of the 31 cases, the PAB found 22 instances supporting allegations of misconduct that included use of force, abuse of authority, and failure to act. Each report includes a detailed summary of the case findings and the PAB's recommendation on officer discipline. It does not include the names of the individuals involved. Patrick Beeth of the city's Corporation Council wrote a detailed letter to Executive Director Dr. Leslie Myers-Small, saying in part, once a report is published, even in redacted form, it can have lasting impacts on an employee's personal and professional life. PAB disagrees. Pastor Wanda Wilson, a member of the PAB Alliance, says transparency is key.
This board, this agency, and the Alliance want better for the citizens of the community when it comes to community and police relations. And this will not happen if the city of Rochester continues to stand in the way and not let the board and the agency do what they were created to do.
General Counsel for the Locust Club, Matthew Rich, says it's time the public rethinks PAB funding. He says money would be better spent elsewhere.
Melanie and Shelby. I'm on Crenshaw Street in Mobile, Alabama. The Biola Battery police officer's name is B.J. Squires. Now, according to Sheriff Paul Birch, I'm going to go ahead and get you guys to take a look at this video of him that we were able to obtain earlier. We got a video of B.J. Squires walking to an unmarked car earlier, taken under custody. Also, Sheriff Paul Birch says that they have received multiple complaints and victims have come forward. He tells me this has been going on for about an estimated 10 years. So right now he is being taken into custody and they are searching his home for evidence relating to sexual misconduct with underage girls. Right now we're still waiting to hear more information on what they find inside the home, but I'm going to get our Hayden Height to go ahead and zoom on in. We do have officers that are outside his home right now on Crenshaw Street. We did see a couple officers walking out with some bags, some briefcases. So we are still waiting to hear more information on what they find inside his home, and this is going to be a story that we are going to continue to follow.
Good morning and welcome to the Bad Apple Report. It's 7:30 a.m. bright and early right here at home on the range. Thank you so much for being here today, folks. I really appreciate it. We've got a lot of bad apples to talk about today. First, we're going to start out here in L.A. County, where a former L.A. County Sheriff's deputy has been sentenced to 6 years for a crash that killed a 12-year-old boy. And here's how the story goes. A now former Los Angeles County Sheriff's deputy was sentenced to 6 years in prison on Wednesday for a high-speed off-duty crash in Southgate that killed a 12-year-old boy. Ricardo Castro, age 30, pleaded no contest earlier this month to vehicular manslaughter with gross negligence for the November 3, 2021 crash that left Isaiah Suarez Rodriguez dead and injured the boy's older sister, along with Castro and his passenger. As part of his plea agreement, Castro waived credit for his time spent in county jail before being released, as well as the time he subsequently spent on house arrest for electronic monitoring. He also surrendered his peace officer standards and training certificate. According to the district attorney, Castro was originally charged in February 2023 with 1 count each of murder, vehicular manslaughter, and reckless driving causing great bodily harm. Castro was taken into custody at the conclusion of the sentencing hearing in downtown Los Angeles. During the hearing, Castro apologized, causing the crash a tragedy and an accident. Okay. It was never intended to happen. Castro said, "I am truly remorseful for the loss of Isaiah." Castro said he wanted to personally apologize to the boy's mother and sister, saying he has always strived to be a role model and steer clear from trouble. "This accident has taken so much from so many," he said. Before handing down the sentence, Los Angeles Superior Court Judge M.L. Viller called the case a tragedy for both families. "Mr. Castro will be required to pay dearly for his actions," Viller said. At a news conference last year announcing the case, Los Angeles District Attorney George Gascon said an investigation showed that the off-duty deputy had been traveling at speeds nearly 95 miles per hour in a 25-mile-per-hour school zone. He approached the busy intersection of Firestone Boulevard and San Juan Avenue. Gascon said Castro received rigorous training through his work as a sheriff's deputy and had significant personal and professional knowledge about the dangers of driving at an excessive speed. Mr. Castro's recklessness ended the life of a boy with an entire future ahead of him and destroyed a family, Gascon said. At the time, this tragedy was preventable and should have never happened. Castro's driving record revealed that he has been involved in multiple collisions and received several traffic tickets, including for speeding, the district attorney said. Mr. Castro was also involved in as a passenger at a fatal traffic collision just 3 months prior to this collision. Okay, that has nothing to do with anything there, Mr. Gascon. Southgate Police Department Chief Darren Arraigned said February 2023 the news conference that the boy was an innocent child who didn't stand a chance in that crash. Arraigned said the off-duty deputy was driving his Ford pickup truck at an unsafe speed far beyond the speed limit when he broadsided a Mercedes-Benz in which the boy was riding as his sister was negotiating a left turn. Despite the valiant efforts of the L.A. County firefighters and medical staff at the Long Beach Memorial Hospital, Isaiah did not survive that horrific event, the police chief said. "I want to emphasize that this was a preventable incident. It was clearly in the hands of Mr. Castro, and he could not be understated." Okay. At the time of the collision, the street was heavily populated with motorist pedestrians and occurred during a time period while school children were still present. In an emotional statement, the boy's mother said last year, "First of all, I want to say I love my son. I love you, Isaiah, and I miss you every single day." She said the boy, who had decided 3 days earlier to be baptized, was out that afternoon to get a ruler for a classmate whose ruler had been taken away while being bullied. The victim's mother, Betsaba Suarez, said the family was completely broken by his loss and said she was thankful that the crash was not brushed under the rug. We're all thankful for that. Ricardo Castro, age 30, 6 years in jail for taking that young man's life, traveling 95 miles an hour in a 25-mile-an-hour zone, heavily populated with people and pedestrians. Okay, I guess that's justice. On with the show.
Former Houston police narcotics officer charged with the murders of Regina Nicholas and Dennis Tuttle for that botched no-knock warrant raid on Harding Street in 2019. Gerald Goines was the mastermind behind that deadly January day. A jury of 12 convicting him in less than 24 hours. My colleague, KPRC2 anchor Keith Garvin, is live outside the Harris County Criminal Justice Center to kick off our coverage with The Bench. Keith?
Well, Daniela, Gerald Goines headed to prison for killing those two homeowners on Harding Street. He was taken away not in handcuffs, but still to be processed like any other prisoner in this state.
And you saw the Tuttle family just express so much elation. They were happy that finally, after more than 5 years and after their family's legacy had been muddied by HPD and others, that they got the justice that their loved ones deserved. Dennis and Regina were murdered. He was walking around with much confidence in the days leading up to this verdict. Today, we caught him in the hallways. He waved to our cameras. He was in good spirits until they started to walk into that courtroom, and that jury never once made eye contact with him or his team. And Keith, it was then that you realized that in the courtroom, the theater of the unexpected, you had the unexpected happening in front of everyone. Gerald Goines, HPD officer, guilty of murder.
The interesting thing is going to be to see if the prosecution has any evidence of prior issues surrounding warrants. Did he forge any other warrants? Did he lie on any other warrants? And how that affected the people involved. So I'm really curious to see the evidence that the state puts forward in punishment.
Letitia, this is a phase where more evidence can come out.
Absolutely. There will be more evidence that will come out, and the evidence that will come out will speak directly to Goines' character. Anything that he's done bad in the past, as well as anything that he's done good. And the jurors are going to weigh that and determine what is the appropriate sentence for him.
You know, their sentence was so quick and, again, so unexpected. So how do we expect that to play in their deliberations in terms of his sentencing?
I think that's going to be very interesting to see how long it's going to take them to reach a verdict. Now, I will say this. I would be worried, and the reason I would be worried, Mario, is primarily because of how long it took them to come back with the guilty verdict of murder. Right. It didn't take them long at all. What was it, over a week or so, 2 weeks trial? And it took about 6 hours to come back with the guilty verdict of felony murder. So those jurors are upset about what they heard. So it's going to be interesting.
We first learned about this investigation on November 2nd of last year. You'll remember that the FBI raided the home of his top campaign fundraiser, Brianna Suggs, and Adams at that time was flying to D.C. and he quickly just turned around and came back.
Right. At its face, I mean, this is a stunning development. I mean, it kicks off now an indictment of a mayor for the first time in New York City. What happens next in the process with Mayor Adams?
So this is huge. There's only 2 New York City mayors who have ever resigned in history. That was Jimmy Walker in 1932 and William O'Dyer in 1950. So right now, if Adams doesn't resign, the only person who can remove him from office is Governor Kathy Hochul. If he does decide to resign, then this kicks off a pretty quick process. So the public advocate Jumaane Williams would step in as acting mayor, and then they would have an election about within 80 days of when he steps in, and after that, all the candidates would come forward and it would be a ranked choice voting, and there would be no party affiliation, so it would be just an open election because there would be no primaries. Right. I always knew that if I stood my ground for New Yorkers, that I would be a target, and a target I became. If I am charged, I am innocent, and I will fight this with every ounce of my strength and spirit. Now, obviously, they're reading a little bit between the lines. something that he's kind of been hinting at, and some people have said out loud, is that he believes in part that he has been targeted by the federal government because of his criticism of the Biden administration when it comes to the migrant crisis. He was one of the most open critics of Biden when it comes to migrant crisis, since New York City has seen over 200,000 migrants come to the city in just the past 2 years.
Adams also personally benefited from the illegal conduct alleged in the indictment. Adams solicited and accepted over $100,000 in luxury travel benefits for years from wealthy Turkish business people and at least one Turkish government official seeking to gain influence over him. Adams started accepting undisclosed luxury travel benefits at least as early as 2016. He took these benefits nearly every year through 2021. Here are some of the benefits that we uncovered during our investigation. In 2016, Adams flew to India through Turkey and received 2 free round-trip upgrades for business class seats. That's the highest class on Turkey's national airline. Those upgrades were worth more than $12,000, and none of it was publicly disclosed. In 2017, Adams accepted free business class tickets for himself and his travel companions to France, Turkey, and China. And he was put up in the Bentley suite in the St. Regis Hotel in Istanbul. All of that was worth more than $41,000, and none of it was publicly disclosed. Also in 2017, he flew to China, again, through Turkey, and accepted 2 free business class tickets for himself and a companion. Those were worth more than $16,000, and none of it was publicly disclosed. In 2018, he flew to Hungary through Turkey and accepted free upgrades for business class seats. Those were worth more than $12,000, and none of it was publicly disclosed. In 2019, he flew to Turkey and accepted a free upgrade to business class for his companion and a free stay in a lavish suite at the St. Regis Hotel in Istanbul. That was worth more than $9,000. And again, none of it was publicly disclosed. In 2021, Adams solicited business class tickets to Istanbul, stays at luxury hotels and resorts, yacht tours, and meals. As we allege, he asked to pay a nominal fee for all of this in order to disguise what we allege were in fact bribes. He canceled that trip at the very last minute, but the benefits that he solicited were worth more than $21,000. And later in 2021, Adams flew to Ghana, again through Turkey, and accepted free business class ticket upgrades and other gifts while he was on a layover in Istanbul. Those benefits were worth more than $12,000. And just like all the other benefits I've just run through, none of it was publicly disclosed. Now, I want to be clear. These upgrades and freebies were not part of some frequent flyer or loyalty program available to the general public. As we allege, this was a multi-year scheme to buy favor with a single New York City politician on the rise, Eric Adams. Now, this is a chart with all of the undisclosed travel benefits that we uncovered during the investigation. We just list it all out here. You see the year, 2016, 2017, 2017, 2018, 2019, and 2 in 2021. The destination, India all the way to Ghana. The benefits, the free upgrades or free tickets altogether, the hotel stays, and the value. And if you just sum up all the dollar amounts here, you get to more than $100,000. Adams also personally benefited from the illegal.
And we have an update on the hillbilly sheriff up in Kentucky who shot his buddy, the judge. That update is he's been arraigned, and here's his arraignment.
Are you Sean Steins? Yes, sir. You have the right to remain silent.
As of his first court appearance, Sean Mickey Steins does remain the sheriff of Letcher County, Kentucky.
You're charged with murder.
The sheriff, who's accused of shooting and killing District Judge Kevin Mullins last Thursday, pleaded not guilty.
The Commonwealth must prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt.
Kentucky State Police say the investigation indicates the sheriff shot the judge multiple times after an argument inside the Letcher County courthouse. Investigators have not said anything yet about a motive. During the arraignment, Steins did not comment on the charges, but did say he has not hired an attorney yet.
It was kind of hard, for a man to have contact with people I need to.
The sheriff was arraigned over Zoom from the Leslie County Jail in Hyden, Kentucky. Judge Rupert Wilhoit in Carter County told him if found guilty, he could face 20 to 50 years in prison and the possibility of the death penalty. Andrew Colgrove, WSAZ.
You guys are great. Thank you so much for being here today to watch the Bad Apple Report, just like every day. But you know what? Let's take the weekend off. Let's take Saturday and Sunday off from the Bad Apple Report. Give ourselves a moment to not think about these dirty cops. And then we'll see you right back here Monday morning, bright and early at 7:30 a.m. Thank you so much for being here, folks. I really appreciate you. Have a great weekend.